Hey, what's up you guys? So today I wanted to do a bit of a bookshelf tour. I haven't done one of these before. I don't watch a lot of these, so this might be a little bit messy. I hope that it's not, but we shall see what happens whenever I edit it. Just a little disclaimer here. So I own a lot of books and I do recognize that that is privilege and that not everyone is able to afford this many books, and so I totally understand that, and you don't have to own this many books to be a real reader. You don't have to own, you know, hundreds of books to feel accomplished. I personally just like to own them. I'm a book collector, and I think that is different from being a book lover and being a book reader. So do keep that in mind for the duration of this video. This is just kind of a way for me to keep track of where my bookshelf is today, where I want to kind of see it go as a collector, and what I have kind of read as of today. So I've got three main bookshelves. I've got this one right here and then these two back here. So this shelf is probably my most organized shelf, and it houses most of my favorite books. This shelf houses a lot of books that I don't remember a whole lot about, and then this shelf over here houses some more of my favorite books, but also the books that I have not yet read and most of my contemporaries. So that's kind of how I have it organized. It's really not that organized. It's really just by my preference and then what fits on what shelf. Let's get into each individual shelf now, starting with this one, and then I'll work on these two. Looking at these top two sections of my favorite shelf, we've got pretty much my Harry Potter section and then also just some little trinkets up here mainly. So I've got my Voldemort wand from Universal. We've got a Pygmy Puff. I also have a Time Turner necklace, Where the Sidewalk Ends and Everything on It by Shel Silverstein. This is probably my favorite book that I own. Next, I've got Mary Berry's Baking Bible. I also have my Lord of the Rings box set by J.R.R. Tolkien. I bought this at a flea market for like $2. It was fantastic. So this is mainly my Harry Potter shelf. I've got a little Mardi Gras mask from New Orleans. I've got another little Mardi Gras mask from New Orleans. I've got my Gilderoy Lockhart Chocolate Frog card, a Snitch, my Chocolate Frog box, Snoopy, and Newt Scamander. Book-wise, I've got the Shadowhunter Codex, the screenplay for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, which is my favorite Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Next, I've got my Harry Potter illustrated editions, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and the Tales of Beetle the Bard. And then I also have this little magnetic turtle that falls off at every single chance it gets. Okay, so my next shelf has pretty much all of my Cassandra Clare books on it that I have read. So on this shelf I've got City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, City of Heavenly Fire. I've got the Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. I've got my box to set of The Infernal Devices, The Bane Chronicles, Lady Midnight, and Lord of Shadows. So my next shelf down from that, I've got a lot of my science books, so like my sci-fi books. So on this shelf I've got Illuminae, Gemina, and Obsidio, which is the Illuminae files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Next I have the Chronicles of Narnia, which is The Magician's Nephew, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Horse and His Boy, Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, and The Last Battle. Next is the Lunar Chronicles by Marie Lu. So that is Ferris, Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and Winter. Next I have The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black. And then I have a book on the periodic table of elements. It goes through each of the elements and just talks about some of their properties. It's a pretty cool book. So now time for my bottommost shelf, which is mainly Vampire Academy, but I do have a few other things on here. So I've got Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman, The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas, Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead, Frostbite, Shadowkiss, Blood Promise, Spirit Bound, Last Sacrifice. After this I've got the Bloodline series, which is the companion series to Vampire Academy. So this series starts off with Bloodlines, The Golden Lily, The Indigo Spell, The Fiery Heart, Silver Shadows, and The Ruby Circle. Next I've got The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and then I've got the Six of Crows duology over here. So this goes Six of Crows, and then Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. So next I'm going to go through some of my other favorites and some of the books that I just don't remember as well. This shelf, I don't really have a name for it like I do the other one. At the top here, you can't really see it that well, but I've got mainly just some random stuff. So I've got like my Slytherin mug, got a little tripod that I don't use, a candle, some coasters, and my cowbell. Next, I've got the actual shelf with the books on it. So I've got Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus, and then I've also got the Mara series and the Shadow and Bone series. So this is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, The Lost Causes of Bleak Creek by Rhett and Link, The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. These are all by Rick Riordan. I bought all of those secondhand, so they aren't the best copies of the books, but they were really cheap, so I couldn't say no. So next I've got The Last Olympians, and so with this I've got The Lost Hero, The Son of Neptune, The Mark of Athena, and The House of Hades. So next I've got the Mara Trilogy, which is The Unbecoming of Mara by Michelle Hodkin, The Evolution of Mara and The Retribution of Mara Ow! I also have the first 2 books of the Noah Shaw series. So this is The Becoming of Noah Shaw and The Reckoning of Noah Shaw. I really like the Mara trilogy, but I did not like the Noah Shaw books nearly as much. So next is the Shadow and Bone trilogy. Again, pretty much this whole shelf I bought secondhand, so all of the copies might not be the best copies or they don't necessarily match, but I've got Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, Siege and Storm, and then also Ruin and Rising. So next is the bottom 2 shelves of this shelf. So I've got the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy way over here. So this is Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor, Days of Blood and Starlight, and Dreams of Gods and Monsters. Got Ruby Red by Kirsten Gier, Heartless by Marissa Meyer, Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard, The Host by Stephanie Meyer, Twilight by Stephanie Meyer, as well as Life and Death, New Moon, Eclipse, Breaking Dawn. Next I've got The Iron Trial by Cassandra Clare and Holly Black, Half Bad by Sally Green, Landline by Rainbow Rowell, which is probably my least favorite Rainbow Rowell book, and 172 Hours, which is the only horror I think I've ever really read. So now onto my bottom shelf, which starts off with Witch and Wizard by James Patterson, my paranormal romance books, which are Fallen by Lauren Kate, Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll, The Vampire Diaries by L.J. Smith, and Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. I've got The Summoning by Kelly Armstrong, The Match Series by Ali Condi, so this is Matched, Crossed, and Reached, The Fifth Wave by Rick Yancey, The Infinity Series by Sherilyn Kenyon, so this is Infinity, Invincible, Inferno, Infamous, and Illusion. And then the last few things I have on here are some extra wallets and then also some old bullet journals from some years past. Okay, so now on to my last bookshelf. So this one starts off with just a bunch of random books that don't really go together. I've got the Uglies series by Scott Westerfeld. So this is Uglies, Pretties, Specials, and Extras. Then I've got Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. Next I've got a copy of The Darkest Minds by Alexandra Bracken. And Yes Please by Amy Poehler. Next I've got Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer, The One Good Thing to Happen in 2020. I've got a box set of Twilight, The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. This series I have not read, but I really want to. I have a little dog stuffed toy. I have A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. The Tale of the Body Thief by Anne Rice. Menoch the Devil by Anne Rice. The Queen of the Damned by Anne Rice. And The Vampire Lestat. I have a stuffed scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz that a guy spent like $20 on one of those claw machines to get me one time while we were at a little fair thing. It was pretty fun. I've got some knickknacks right here. And then I've got the Scythe trilogy by Neil Shusterman. So now on the row below that, I've got Turtles All the Way Down by John Green, Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, Looking for Alaska by John Green, Paper Towns by John Green, An Abundance of Catherines by John Green, Will Grayson by John Green and David Leviathan, The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, Saint Anything by Sarah Dessen, The Sun is Also a Star by Nick Layune, History is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera, Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell, Maybe Someday by Colleen Hoover, and Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. So in this little cubby, I've got my Throne of Glass series with the exception of the Assassin's Blade, which you've already seen. So this is Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, Kingdom of Ash. And so in this little copy, I finish off my Sarah J. Maas collection with the A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy. So that goes A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin. And so now I've got just like some random books that are kind of just thrown in here. So I've got A Beautifully Foolish Endeavor by Hank Green, A Reaper at the Gates by Saba Tahir, A Torch Against the Night by Saba Tahir, An Ember in the Ashes by Saba Tahir, An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green, and The Cruel Prince trilogy by Holly Black. So now all that's left is these last last two rows of this last bookshelf. So this is mostly some contemporaries, some dystopians, and my TBR. So I've got Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins, Lola and the Boy Next Door by Stephanie Perkins, If I Stay by Gail Forman, 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher, Finding Aubrey by Sophie Kinsella, Everything Everything by Nick Lillian, 5 Feet Apart by Rachel Lippincott, To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han, P.S. I Still Love You by Jenny Han, Always and Forever by Jenny Han, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, We Should Hang Out Sometime, and Geekerella by Ashley Poston. Then I've got the Divergent series by Veronica Roth, which is Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant. Right next to this I have the Delirium Trilogy by Lauren Oliver, so this is Delirium, Pandemonium, and Requiem. Next I have the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins, so this is The Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay. So I'm going to move down here because these two sections are my TBR, and so I want to go over those last. So I've got Again But Better by Christine Riccio, War by Veronica Roth, The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, The BFG by Roald Dahl, this was one of my favorites back when I was really little, The Martian by Andy Weir, this book is hilarious, The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak, Ragtime by E.L. Doctor, I read this in a college class and it's a pretty fun book, The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini, I Am Malala by Malala Yousafzai, I mispronounced her name, I'm sorry about that, The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind by William Kamkwamba and Brian Mueller, and then Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. So this is just kind of like my random section of non-fictions and classics, with some fiction mixed in there that doesn't really fit in with some of the other genres that I have. So next I've got some more dystopian. So I've got a second copy of The Darkest Minds. This is the only book outside of Twilight that I have 2 copies of that I'm kind of like, why do I have 2 copies of this book? The Shatter Me series by Tara Maffey. So this is Shatter Me, Ignite Me, and Unravel Me. The Legend Trilogy by Marie Lu. So this is Legend, Prodigy, and Champion. And then the Selection by Kira Cass. So this is the Selection, the Elite, and the One. Okay, and so now on to my TBR. So this is just all of the books that I own that I haven't read yet. So I do have other books that I don't own that I want to read, but this is just what I own that I haven't read yet. So I've got Restore Me by Tara Maffey, A Sky Beyond the Storm by Saba Tahir, Daisy Jones and the Six, Legendborn by Tracy Dion, Lore by Alexander Bracken, Sapphire Blue by Kirsten Gear, and Emerald Green by Kirsten Gear. These are the 2 books that go after Ruby Red, which is in another part of my bookshelf. All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven, Isla and the Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins, A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which is my current read, by Bridget Kemmerer, Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, and Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare, Children of Blood and Bone by Tony Adeyemi, Passenger by Alexander Bracken, Along for the Ride by Sarah Dessen, and The Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. I hope that you liked this video. If you liked, please like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Comment down below how you have your bookshelves organized, as well as what some of your favorite books on your bookshelves are. I will see you in my next video. Bye!